This video is brought to you by
Cool Green Clothing. You already know what it is. We done gone worldwide and we coming straight out of Baltimore. Go online right now at coolgreenclothing.com and I assure you, you'll find something on the website right now just for you. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way. And that's just basic.
What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. We all have struggles in life and obstacles to overcome. Everybody makes mistakes, and a lot of us feel like people deserve a second chance to make it right. I remember when I went through my hardships and was sitting in prison at 18 years old. And the older inmates who had life or football numbers 30 or 40 years will always say if they could just get one more chance to go out into the free world, they would do things differently. They would talk about things like working, starting a family, and never coming back to prison. And most of the time, you can see it in their eyes, they were sincere. Even if you are free and struggle with something like addiction, a lot of people know it's not easy living with that monkey on your back, a constant need to have something just to make you feel normal, or chasing a high. And most feel the same. If I could shake this and get sober, I will have a better life and do right. While some might unfortunately never get the chance they are looking for, others do. And it's always easier to say what you would do when you are down, but once you are out that fire, for some, they forget all about the struggles and things change. They start to take their second chance for granted. Every day, we all wake up and make choices. Nobody is better than the next person. You just might make better choices than them. They might choose to go hit the streets and throw rocks at the penitentiary for a fast dollar. And you might choose to go to work. And common sense will tell you in the long run which choice has the best outcome. But some people can get chance after chance to get it right. And they always choose the same options in life. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of an old head who served time for 2 hits just to come home and do it again. Back in 2021, 68-year-old Mr. John Hall was coasting through the golden years of his life. John had worked hard for years. Fresh out of high school, where he attended Carver, where he learned multiple trades, including electrical engineering. He went straight to work after that and also met the love of his life while in school, a young lady named Brenda. The two married in 1972 and had 2 kids. Later in life, John would find himself with a career at the Baltimore City Fire Department, where he worked at for 28 years and retired in 2012 as a lieutenant. As years went by, John's wife unfortunately passed away, and to deal with the pain, he turned to drinking. He would fall harder into the bottle over the years and picked up an addiction. But during his struggles, his family was there, nieces and nephews, his kids, to let him know he wasn't alone. John eventually went to AA and got himself together and sober. After that, he focused more on traveling and living life. John didn't really have a big circle, a few close friends, and he would land himself an apartment on Clark's Lane in Northwest Baltimore by 2021. John was living alone and had some health issues, a severe case of gout that made it hard for him to get around. He would often leave his apartment door open, so he didn't have to walk to open the door. His close friends and associates knew that, but John wasn't in harm's way. Everybody in the building liked the man. He would go to the casino when he had a few extra dollars to kill time, get out the house, and have fun. He would get lucky in the spring of that year and win $1,000. To some, that might be a little bit of money, But for John, who was retired and living on a fixed income, that was a nice come up. He told a few close friends about his luck, but that was it. On May 28th, 2021, maintenance men in the building kept getting complaints that water was leaking coming from John's apartment. When they knocked on the door, nobody answered. And when the maintenance man walked into the apartment, they knew right away something wasn't right. The water was on and running. John was laying under a blanket, unresponsive. He ran out and called police. When BPD responded to the location, they discovered a horrible scene. John had blunt force trauma to the head and over 80 stab wounds, and unfortunately, he was already gone. It seemed somebody had targeted the older man, but there was no forced entry and John's apartment was still in order. As word spread throughout the building about the tragic situation, a few people told police John often kept his door open and had recently won $1,000. They claimed he had also just got into a beef with another resident who tried to steal money from him. 68-year-old Reginald Lively. Reginald had a completely different life than John. No stranger to law enforcement, he would take a life all the way back in 1985 of a woman named Eleanor Williams in Anne Arundel County. He was found guilty, sentenced to 20 years in prison, where he served 8 and made parole. But years later, in North Carolina, Reginald would find himself a wanted man again in the slaying of another woman, his girlfriend at the time, Miss Willie Mae Arlington, who was also stabbed in front of her son, similar in the same manner as Reginald's first victim. He was tracked down to Baltimore, extradited back to North Carolina, where he was charged and found guilty of the crime. Sentenced this time to 30 years in prison, where he served 12 and made parole again. Now on his third trial life, Reginald was now a suspect in John's case. Police went to speak to the man about him trying to steal money from John and their argument, but Reginald claimed he was asleep the morning they determined the attack happened. But the maintenance man gave them video footage from the building that showed the man walking out early in the morning with a bag in his hand and returning without it. The man was identified as Reginald. Police confronted him again. He stated that morning he thought he was asleep, but he forgot he was up throwing something away. Police got a warrant to search Reginald's home and found the clothes he was wearing in the video, but nobody in the building heard nothing that morning, and Reginald maintained his innocence. So the case started going cold. John's family wanted answers, but there was nothing police could do. Months would go by, then months turned to years, when in 2025, a cold case division at the Baltimore Police Department looked back into the evidence. Now with new technology, the first thing they noticed in the video of Reginald walking with the bag, when they zoomed in, they could see a tool he claimed to be throwing out, and it seemed to have red stains on it that looked like blood. Money was missing from John's apartment. They knew he had just won $1,000, and fingerprints lifted from John's door was a match for Reginald. Armed with new evidence, police went back to interview the man. He stuck to his story, but changed major statements he had made years prior. As police stated their case, they left him in a room to think about what they were saying. Reginald, not knowing he was being recorded, stated, "Well, that's it. My life is over. I done did it now." Even without admitting guilt, the state felt they had enough to charge the older man with the hit on John, pointing to the man as a serial hitter who had no regard for life. As the case made its way to court, everything at first seemed circumstantial, but Reginald's history didn't help at all. The fact his prior 2 victims were cut multiple times, and John was as well, also him lying about being asleep the morning of the attack, and the fingerprints on John's door. The judge pointed to how violent the attack was and how Reginald showed no remorse. He just sat there looking straight ahead, not even apologizing to John's family. Eventually, he was found guilty on all charges, and this time he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. John's family spoke out and stated they were glad the city didn't give up on the case. They couldn't believe Reginald was even free in the first place, but they felt justice was served now that he couldn't hurt nobody else. Rest in peace to John. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. That's a terrible way to go. And if it was over the $1,000 he won at the casino, that's terrible. That's not worth a life. Reginald had 2 prior convictions for taking lives. You would think he would have been cool, not even trying to jaywalk or hurt a fly, because he knew how it felt sitting in the cell for years. But some people just never change. Maybe he felt comfortable in the joint and wanted to go back. I don't know, but I'm gonna leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the situation in the comments. Yeah, man, that's a crazy story. Rest in peace, that man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.